I can tell you I'm never going to grow parsnips in a barrel again. My parsnip harvest from that little barrel back there was pretty pitiful. Nothing ever really developed. I got a little bit out of it. Just started harvesting my parsnips from the garden bed, and they're doing much, much better. So I decided to see how the parsnips were doing in the garden bed, and they're looking like parsnips. These are nice. The others that I got out of that barrel, they were like this, but there was no root to them. It was maybe that. And despite all the care I took in making sure that soil was nice and clean, they weren't developing. These are growing nice. So I'm going to try and get another one out of this bed here. I think there were 12 at most. Maybe a little bit more. I can't remember now how many I planted. But we've had some good frosty weather, which should sweeten up the parsnips. So let's see what we get out of this. So one thing I'm discovering is the parsnip root grows really, really far down. And like it's well below the surface of the soil. The others were the ones in the barrel were pretty close to the top. So if I can show you here, we're digging down and the root is down here. Now this is a small one, I can feel that. That's fine. But even that's more of a parsnip than what I was getting out of the barrel. So let's see. I've had to use my pitchfork actually to get in here. Now this looks like a pretty substantial one. And it's way down here. See, it's starting, there it is. So it's a good couple of inches below the soil. What the hell way is it growing though? Might be two plants here? I don't know. I'm gonna need to put my phone down, get my pitchfork in here, and it might be one of those ones that gets all knotted up, has like a couple of roots growing at funny angles. So I'm gonna need to get my pitchfork in here and loosen this ground up. I've tried that whole push and pull thing. Yeah, that's not working. That's a decent sized parsnip. Like grabbing out to the sides here. That's a decent parsnip there. Yeah, looks like we got a couple here. Another decent one. Okay, that one didn't get very far. Would have been a nice one though with that kind of root head on it. All right, we got a tiny one too. This is kind of what my parsnips in a barrel look like. And the reason I started harvesting them is because like the leaves were dying back. Like we've had some pretty cold nights here. Hasn't been freezing, but it's been down in the 30s. So I don't want to miss where the heck they are in the garden. So that's why I decided to pull them out. Yeah, we got another tiny one here. Another small knotted one. Now the problem here is that this location is right next to my garage. So there might not be enough sun over here for them to get enough light to grow. While those out here, they're getting far more sun. But I'm gonna have to dig down in case there's just some roots from fallen leaves that I didn't see. Just in case they developed and the leaves died back, but it doesn't look that way from what I can feel. So I'm going to say we got the parsnips from the front here, and these were compost. I don't know what that means. I forgot what the heck my note meant. That really doesn't do you any good when you forget what your notes are on your plant identification stickers. All right, let's switch it to the back here and see what we get along this back row. Okay. Another ball, more than anything. Yep. Really weird though how things grow just in front of this. You get a really decent root develop, but a little further back you get nothing. Yeah, a little bit better. Give you some nice parsnip out of that. I was actually thinking of giving up on parsnips after seeing what was coming out of my barrels. This is actually no, I was expecting to be a small one. Not bad. These aren't record winners, but it's not a bad parsnip. And it looks like we got one more to go. The plant looks pretty healthy here. I got you in camera. Yeah, the plant looks pretty healthy. Let's hope that the top of the root seems nice. We'll see if that translates into a root that goes down any appreciable amount. No. But it's a parsnip again that we can make good use of. I'm just going to dig through the ground here, make sure I didn't miss anything. And I do know one thing. This root here, this is from my, what the heck's it called? The tree I planted, a fruit tree. The American papaya. I forget what the heck they're called. Having a brain fart at the moment. But also, if you look at the soil, you can see all the earthworm activity in here and their castings. But I wonder if the tree roots are stealing nutrients from the plants that were back here. That could be. I might having to cut that down. Don't want it interfering with the plants that I plant back here. So it was a nice little harvest of parsnips that we got. I wasn't expecting them much after what I had seen from the barrel, but it seems to show me anyway that planting them in the ground is a much better option for me than trying to do that in the barrel. And this is a selection of a couple other things that I picked. These are the last of my butternut squash. These were in the main bed in the garden, and they didn't have time enough to ripen really before the vines died back. But that's okay. This one was on my trellis that I had, so it ripened fine. So that will be good. We'll have to see whether or not I can use that. And then I just took a sampling of carrots from the different places that we grew them. And they're growing, but I'm not quite sure how much bigger they're going to get. I'm going to leave them in the ground for a couple of more weeks before I pull them, because they're obviously not ready yet. And I had some really tiny ones, which I've eaten, and they were delicious. But one thing I discovered with my garden bed is it's fully shade now. Not my garden bed, my garden buckets and my barrels. This is normally full sun. It's about 10:30 in the morning now, and this is normally full sun. But in the fall, and we're in like the third week of October here, this just stays in shade all day long now. There is no sun. So I think it's going to affect how much the carrots are going to grow. Now, the carrots that I have in the garden bed back there, they get a little bit of sun, but not much. So I'm going to leave them in the ground for a little while. And I mean, it looks like, I can see from here, it looks like a decent carrot growing up down in here. So this one looks like it'll be okay, but it just might be like kind of ball shaped, as opposed, that's where I pulled up one of the other carrots. But, you know, we've got another one down here, kind of green on top. We got a few more in here. So, I mean, we're going to have a little bit of carrot, but they're not going to be anything, I don't think, to write home about. So for fall carrots, if I'm going to do that, I might have to do it in the back end of my property, where at this time of the year it gets more sun than this area, which I was surprised. I've never grown a fall garden really. I always quit around August, maybe September at the latest. And I guess this is why. Although I never consciously realized it, it just turns into a completed shaded area, and you can even see it over there in the garden bed. It's just all shade. So that'll inform my decision next year. What I could do, of course, is down at the Victory Garden, plant stuff down there, because that's just wide open down there. So it'll get more sunlight and allow vegetables like the carrots to mature better. So even after all this time, it's still a learning process. But we had a nice little garden harvest, and like I said, I'm really excited about the parsnips. I hadn't planned on growing them again after seeing the results from that barrel. But now I'm going to, might not plant the full field of parsnips, but at least a couple of square feet I'll devote to parsnips, and because I like parsnips, I'm the only one that does. So these will be for me, but I can preserve them and keep them and eat them over time. So if you want to see what we're doing in the garden last week, check out this video right here, and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along in the progress on all of our vegetables as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.